Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I want you to visualize this. You're on the playground, leading a group of friends in a game, fostering teamwork and problem solving. Now, fast forward to today. You're in the boardroom, guiding your team with that same collaborative spirit and strategic mindset. Those childhood moments laid the groundwork for your leadership journey, turning early experiences into powerful professional skills. Welcome to Business Weekly with Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. For this month's theme, Biz and Parenting, we're talking today about from the playground to the boardroom. So I want you to get your wings up. I want you to hit that subscribe button and follow Love Bay on IG. Let's help get this online radio to be the place where you can rely on for great knowledge and entertainment. Now, I've been doing this show for a while, and there's so much things that I'm going to be tackling over the next few months. Hey, Miss G, how you doing, Miss T? Miss Glanville's in the building. Yes, Tara's Vegan Cuisine. Shout outs to the best juice on the planet. I've been here, and I wanna start tackling some real topics, but skills are always where I am. So I'm Miss J, your hostess with the mostest, your drip strategist, and your boss methodologist. And today, we're going from the playground to the boardroom. Now, let's talk a little bit about how being a parent can actually elevate your leadership skills in today's business world. Many successful leaders will tell you that parenthood acts as a real world leadership laboratory. Now, I've heard a lot of, oh, Miss J, my kids. And you can't do this because of that. And you can't do this because of that. Woo, we are piping in today. The sweet spot is in the building. Thank you to all my followers who are coming through. As always, remember, you can post your questions, post your comments, post your opinions. This is a platform for you to have a voice. And let me tell you, I'll be the first one to either go back and forth with you or endorse it. But either which way, we are going to get these skills out there because why? As Black businesses, we need to do better. We need to be able to get the information into our system so that we can become leaders in the industry. Woo, guess who else is in the building? The COC Social. Good evening, Miss Georgette D. I'm going to be having a lot of my ladies coming on, and we're going to be having some real controversial topics. And I'm setting the stage by talking about skills because it's essential to growth. And today I'm working on a project, and these ladies were answering some questions, and let me tell you the power that was dripping, the gems, the things that they were breaking, the curses that we've had in our business for years. I'm starting to see the shift in that mindset of how we run businesses, and leadership is no different. When we think about many successful leaders, it will tell you that parenthood acts as a real world leadership laboratory, one that prepares and sharpens you for the very skills that are needed to lead effectively in any professional environment. Parenthood inherently requires qualities like patience, empathy, and resilience, just like things you need, whether you're soothing a crying child or you're managing conflicting needs. And we know when you have, especially more than one child, or if you have multiples, you're in trouble, but you're really using those parenting skills every day. You're guiding your kids through life challenges. You're constantly practicing emotional intelligence. And these are the same qualities that we need to lead ourselves in business or to foster a positive work environment or handle stressful situations. So whenever you think your children are the problem, no, they're actually the teachers. They are the ones who are giving you solutions and skill sets that you can take. What are some other things that I'm going to talk about tonight? Decision making. That's another critical skill honed through parenting. Because as parents, we often are faced with choices that impact our children's well-being. And the real thing about that is we think about their education and we think about their future. We learn to weigh the options carefully. We consider different perspectives and we make thoughtful decisions. That trait serves us well when we're navigating through business strategies or resolving conflicts in the workplace. So we can take down this slide, Mr. T, because we're just going to spit a little knowledge before we jump into this. Now, when we talk about parenting at its core, we think about the aspects of we are responsible for a human. But what we don't think about is that human that we've been managing, and I'm especially talk to the parents who are either single parents. Now, I want you to know you guys have double the experience because you're on you're on par 24/7, right? You're working with kids, whereas, parents who are dual households, you have the ability to kind of take a break or, go over to dad and play for a little bit, and I'm just going to go and relax. But within it both, communication is at the heart of all of it, right? Whether you're doing leadership or whether you're being a parent, whether you're explaining rules to your child, like don't touch the stove, go sit over there, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, or you're inspiring a team, being clear, compassionate, and effective in your messaging builds trust and cooperation. What's another skill? Yeah, if you know it, put it on the screen. I'm going to say it. Resilience, absolutely crucial. Absolutely crucial. Many of our parents today, and especially in our Black communities, they are very resilient. And I've watched parents, I've watched single moms, single dads, I've watched dual households really make it work because times are hard. The struggles were real or are real for some parents. There are women in my practice that have shown absolute resilience when it comes to who they are, and they really, really, really understand how to make a dollar stretch for many, many things, whether it's for food or for clothing or for shelter. We all know at some point we've all had to do it. We've all had to kind of figure out, how are we going to make it work till the next check, or how are we going to make it work till we come into ends? And especially for those who are not working, but we're trying to build a business simultaneously, you have to be resilient. You have to be focused on the long-term goals, despite the immediate obstacles. And we are known for that. We can do much with so little. I mean, my parents I'm a family from 4 kids. And my father was the only one working at times because why? It was easier or more cost effective for my mom to stay home and raise us versus putting us into daycare. And so with these types of things, we had to make a family of 6. We had to make that stretch. And Nob Hills was our best friend because we were able, it's like Costco today, right? We are able to get more for our bang for our buck. And that resilience is directly transferable to the business arena. And where this resilience is facing, this is where we get that. So I'm going to take down this slide because you now have read this theme for a little bit here. So Mr. T, you can take that down. I want to just talk a little bit about, maybe he's actually doing something, so I'll just wait. The goals and the transferable skills. Now, in short, every lesson that we learn in parenting, whether in patience or empathy or decision-making or resilience, this becomes a vital leadership tool. So when you're disciplining your child, take note, what were the outcomes of the discipline? What was the context around doing the discipline, right? If we think about it from the perspective of how we create this into a skill set, I want you to really take a moment to reflect. Now, I'm a big proponent of journaling. I tell people all the time, when you journal, you are writing subjectively, right? You're writing in the moment. You're saying to yourself, this is how I feel. Your emotions are coming out. You want, your anger, whatever. You're feeling happy, you're winning, you're losing, you're failing, you're progressing. That all comes out in a journal subjectively. Have you ever reread your journal? Have you ever took a moment to stop and say, let me go back, whether it was a year, whether it was 6 months ago, and read what I did in that day, in that moment? I encourage you to. Why? Because that makes you objective. And when you are objective, you have an opportunity to reflect and to look at what you could have done better. Could you have made better decisions? Could you have been more resilient? Because you see, that's what leaders do. Leaders, we look back at what worked and what didn't. We don't look at it subjectively. We're not in our feelings, right? We're not saying, oh my God, this and that, and I was so angry, whatnot. In the moment, if we were failing, yeah, sure, of course, we're going to be a little bit upset. Like, shoot, we just lost money on a project that didn't pan out, or we have a high turnover in staff, and so it's costing us to recruit and bring people in. So there's always something that's going to challenge us in the moment. But when I look back at, in my journal, especially my business journal, I start seeing what are some patterns and trends that I possibly could change. How can I make better decisions, and how can I be more resilient? So don't underestimate some of the tools that we use. And more times than not, many people do not look or reflect. I've seen people start business over business over business and fail and fail and fail. And they really think it's the industry, it's the clients, it's the customers. But no, 9 times out of 10, they've never learned from the mistakes that they've made. They just move the mistakes over to the next business, and then they repeat the action. And then all of a sudden, boom. Do you do that with your children? Do you do that with your children? Are there things that you could look back as a parent and say, you know what, I could have done better with that. I probably could have had a better discussion there, or I probably didn't have to get mad and lace this poor kid, right? Like there's things that we have to talk about. There's things that we need to learn. And yeah, this is the side of Miss J. Many people, when they coach with me, come to find out I'm all smiles with knowledge and skill and capacity, but I'm very firm on the fact that if you are not taking accountability for what you do and who you are, then you're not going to have a business. You're not going to have an empire, no matter how big the dream is. It all starts with the goals. It all starts with decision making. It starts with skill, right? So over the next, actually moving forward from these shows, we're not only going to be just talking about skills, but I'm going to be having those conversations that are going to be a little bit controversial. I'm going to call out a couple of people. I'm not people. I'm not people, but I'm just talking like overall business, right? We got to call out some things. We got to start thinking about the traits that we are consistently doing that is holding our culture back from being great, right? From looking at how we navigate through business strategies or resolving conflicts in the workplace. We have a lot of things when it comes to our culture where they say Black people can't work together. And for the most part, that is really true. And the reason being is because the leadership component is very low. The analysis skills, the conflict skills, the communication skills, the resilience skills, they're low. I've watched tables disintegrate. I've watched partnerships go raw. I've watched, I'm not absolved from this. When younger in my days when we were doing business, there were times where I made heavy mistakes. There were times where my cutoff game was real. You couldn't talk to me, especially when I was finished. Stop this, right? You could not talk to me. The name of the game was piss me off once. Let's just call it a day. I don't need to see you. And if I do, it's going to be a problem. But as I grew up and as I was going into the circles in management with the city of Toronto, or if I was in grassroots organizations, or if I was working in partnership, even with some other small business entrepreneurs, there were certain things that you learned over time that became crucial to the success of my business. And that I had to do. In short, parenting was one of the biggest ones. I love when I hear, people say, Miss J, your boys are such a delight to be around. Or Miss J, they're so well-mannered. Or Miss J, wow, they're super articulate. They express how they want, or the way they handle things. And that started from birth. That started from really recognizing where I wanted my kids to be and what opportunities I wanted them to have. Now, we talk about this generational wealth. Let's talk about it for a little bit. We talk about generational wealth. I hear it all the time. I'm doing my business because I want to give generational wealth. I want to do the legacy piece and everything like that. And I am so for that. But then I say, well, what actions are you actually doing to get that generational wealth? I don't want to do sales calls, or I wanted to do it and I don't want to hear no, or I want to only do sales call once a week and expect fantabulous results. Now, we have to be real about that. We have to be real about who we are. And that's my platform. I strengthen who you are to become better at what you do. And there's a lot of amazing, amazing entrepreneurs out there who are so talented, like my hair. I mean, I couldn't do this to save my life. I tried a braid, and let me tell you, I went to the gym. I tried to put a braid back in my head. I went to the gym how shame was it when I left the one little machine and the braid was sitting there, knowing that's not talent. That's just not talent, right? So I'm aware of it. And because I'm aware of it, it helps me to be more appreciative of the craft that many other has. And so when I tell people, come when you work with me, that's what the wings represent. You bring your talent, I will bring mine, and together we fly. And that's a powerful advantage. I have learned leadership very early in the game, very, very early in the game. From the time that I've been, 15, working in recreational settings or working in organizational settings, I've always been in a role of leadership. It took me 1 year before I started getting leadership roles, from little supervisor to big supervisor, from sitting at little tables to big tables. And that's all because of leadership. I took a lot of what I did in parenting and I pushed it across the board. Now, I hear a lot of our parents say, you know what, Miss J, they're just not giving us these opportunities and the struggle is real and whatnot and whatnot. But let's have some real talk. If we don't deepen our understanding of parenting and understand how it directly cultivates leadership skills, and if we're not nurturing our children to do the same thing or guiding our children to practicing the qualities that make effective leaders in business, in life, in finance, in love, relationships, if we're not doing that, then who should be held accountable for the divorce rates? Who should be held accountable for all the single baby mamas, right? Who are being courted and loved and then as soon as the baby comes, boom, they're gone. Like, who has to be held responsible? I spoke to my son the other day and I said to him, listen, you have to understand something. Your father can teach you to be a man, but I can teach you how to treat a woman because that's your mama. And if we look at the way he treats a woman, then we know how he'll treat a woman in business. We'll know how he'll treat a woman in money. He understands how to do that. And both of my sons, they are amazing. But of course, they still are very young in the game. And that's so much like business owners. No matter how old you are, if you are not business driven, you haven't gone to school for, you don't have an MBA or whatever the case is, you are young in the game. You don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And so that's why we always encourage you to get that mentor, to get that coach, because the best of the best have it. And if you understand how to focus your learning, then you are going to be able to succeed. So, my producer, let's throw back up the screen and let's talk about some of these points, because I like to give points. I like to tell you what you need and why you need it. Now, if you need to figure out how to do it, then your girl's here for you. If you're just logging in, welcome to Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We on the Real Talk system right now. I'm so glad that I have this platform, and my producers let me, they said, Miss J, feel free to get controversial. Feel free, all up in this place. Sweating my eyes be hot today. The studio be hot, but we still gonna get it done. Okay, so the first slide I'm gonna be showing you is how effective leaders in business use leadership skills from a parenting perspective. The first one, cultivating empathy and communication. Now, as the screen says, parenting teaches the importance of active listening and compassionate dialogue, essential for motivating and leading teams. Do you talk to your children on a regular basis? When your children come to you, you're like, mommy, and they have this long story from school that you're really not interested in, but you're going to listen because why? You love them, right? Nobody cares what Dante was doing in school. Nobody really cares. Let's just be real about that. But your child thinks it's important. And so we practice active listening on a daily basis. In fact, we've gotten so good at doing 9 things while we're listening to this story and still tapping. So for real, that's what happened. And what did you do? That's what we do, right? We have that compassionate dialogue. And that active listening, patience, and empathy translates, because why? We're concerned. We're concerned about what our children's concerns are. And then we develop a deeper understanding for them, right? We understand what triggers them, what pressures them. When we had Camille Henry, CEO of Strength in Hands, on the show, she gave a very dynamic answer in regards to sometimes we take out what we don't listen to what's really being said, right? There's something behind it. For example, if they're being bullied in school or if they're feeling low in the self-esteem sector, we sometimes miss that because we're not looking at the deeper knowledge or understanding of their perspective. What we might just dust off is, girl, don't worry about it. Child, just go to school, learn your books, and do your thing. That's something that we got to change, because why? This is a foundation or environment that your kids are in all day, every day. And so eventually there are things that are going to be shared with you that if your emotional intelligence is not there, then you're not really looking into the deeper understanding of their perspective. And that's an essential trait for inspiring teams and managing conflict. There's no perfect environment. You can never say there's a perfect environment in terms of people will get on people's nerves. There's communities that start off really good, but then the infighting begins, or there's something said, and let me be real, us, we are quick to hold a grudge when we're ready, right? Oh, she said that, right? Okay, so we're either going to go to war or we're going to go to silence, right? I'll be real. I was one who went to war a few times back in the day. right? Because hey, you had to stand up for your rights. Like you had to put 10 toes down and let them know you can't be messing with Miss J. It's that's just that simple. Back in the day, it was JoJo, right? So I want you to really take stock of are you cultivating empathy and communication? How are you having, if you have a tough time, whether it's a friend or family or whatever the case is, there are times when, yes, you have to do that. Cutoff is real. But then if you look at it from a leadership's perspective, can you really be taking in the skill set and learning from what you've been in? Well, that's always a possibility. The second one that I want to talk about is teaching discipline and accountability. Setting boundaries and consistent guidance fosters integrity and responsibility in both children and workplace relationships. How does that even work, Ms. J? Well, when you set boundaries and teach discipline, it's not about rules. Now, I know that this modern days, for some modern day parenting, it's about, trying to reason with a child who's 3 why they shouldn't do something. Sometimes you just got to let them know, listen, stop it. Stop it. Don't do it. You may not understand why not now, but I just need you to listen, especially like touching the stove or whatever. They're not going to understand the ions and the elements of heat. They're just going to say, boom. All right. Yes, I did. Went to war. Asked my day ones, my shorthand posse. Yes, we used to have fights in the yard, like girls and guys. Like there was equity all the way around. We never had no kind of gender bias. If there was a fight, there was a fight. I remember one of my girls, she used to take some mans down in the place. It was nice. It was real. Like we were warriors back in the day, right? And if one talked about us, you had to deal with the whole tribe of us coming for you. So yes, I did go to war sometimes. But as we talk about that discipline, we talk about it's not just necessarily rules, but it's about leadership through influence and consistency. Now, a lot of times people say, you know what, I can't get my kid to stay still when I'm doing business. And we talked about this last week in terms of mastering minutes and things like that. The big thing that I guess, I want you to take away from this is that consistency is key. Right? I teach 3 C's in my practice: commitment, consistency, and community. And where do you think those 3 C's came from? They came from leadership in my home. We are very committed to being a family. We are very consistent in the way we raised our kids. My husband and I, whether we had difference of opinion or we were in an agreement with how this was going to happen, that conversation, that communication happened. Then we made a decision and then we implemented it. Now we are in our respective fields, right? Him as a head coach, he's running a massive program for a university. And that program has so many working parts. And you know what? Every time we come together at night and we're debriefing on our day, one of the things we always realize is that the lessons we learned with our kids, what impacted them, what were we too harsh sometimes, whatever the case is, helped us to kind of regulate and read the room with the people that we are leading. With my clients, I have to make sure that, yes, I go hard. I go hard in the paint and I don't let up sometimes. And sometimes I have to stop and I have to even discipline myself to say, you know what, they're not ready for that level of push. But when you're teaching high performance, you're pushing harder than you necessarily would do if you were just teaching mediocrity. And I don't teach mediocrity. These lessons helped us become more accountable. These lessons helped us to be more integritous in the workplace. And people knew that if we would say it behind your back, we would say it to your face. Usually we'd say it to your face because that's typically who I am. I don't have any qualms in having those tough conversations. And we're going to be talking about tough conversations next month. We're going to be really breaking through some of the things that are holding us back from being winners. So I want you to log in. I want you to tell your friends. I want you to get on this and get people subscribing to Love Base. So if you're just logging in, welcome. Wherever you are in the world, the skills never change, right? They say men lie, women lie, skills don't, right? And so when I constantly come here, I constantly come on the education tip because I get to experience all the different people who have amazing empire building skills. They have craft, they have passion and purpose, but they lack discipline. They lack accountability, and it holds them back. And by being held back, then they start thinking that their businesses are not good, but that's not necessarily true. It's just about understanding how to expand your knowledge, skill, and capacity. Moreover, as parents, we learn to motivate others. not through command, but through inspiration and positive reinforcement. My son just had the hardest year in school. Like he just finished grade 11. And this one challenged him. He took a heavy course, law, chemistry, some other stuff, sciences and maths and whatever. I mean, I don't know. I just say, go out there and be great. You know what I mean? But he hit a snag. One of his courses really gave him a run for his money. And because the course load was so heavy, even the school guidance counselor was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because this is the heaviest course load you could have assembled. And he said yes. And I was so proud of him, because he woke up, whether he was stressed or whatever, he still tried to make it through. There was one class he was really struggling with, and we weren't sure if this was going to be a passing one, but he stood his ground. He worked hard. He found out what he needed to do. He kept the communication open. He made the decision to keep on going. Can you see the leadership skills I am talking about? These are the things that we want to instill in our children, but we have to ask ourselves, where do they see the role modeling of that? And he saw that with me. I quit my job. I started a full-time business. And there were very stressful times where, yes, I wasn't getting as much clients and I wasn't working as much, but I never gave up because I wanted to ensure that when I put 10 toes down, I wanted to show my boys that when I was consistent in being integritous to my clients, the ones that I still maintain are thriving. And so for positive reinforcement for him, we went out and we did that. Yeah, we bought a 65-inch TV for his room. I mean, the TV is probably bigger than his room, but hey, he saw the efforts of his hard work. He saw that those small steps led to big change. And so how are you going to do that? How are you going to apply that to leading a team? If you're looking at building your business any bigger than just a hobby, then you need to understand that you got to build for the future, not for today. Today, it's just you being cook, bottle cleaner and dishwasher, but you're going to soon have people who are going to do that for you, and you got to get that buy-in. If you're building a community for your empire, you have to be able to mentor and innovate and drive that commitment to being part of a great community. And that comes with discipline and accountability. Now, the next one I want you to really take in is how building resilience and patience is key, because you have to be able to navigate setbacks with kids, right? They could be the best thing since sliced bread, and then they could be children of the corn. I kid you not. They know how to take you on an emotional roller coaster day in and day out. Shout out to Tripping Along, who is a mother of multiples. 3 times at this. Could you imagine if all of them went ham at the same time? It's a problem for her, right? Like she definitely is going through that emotional roller coaster, but she's also building resilience and she's building patience. You know, Georgette says to me all the time, girl, I don't know where you get the patience from. You know, especially if things aren't working with the business or there's challenges or whatever the case is. She said, I don't know where you get the patience from, but that came from working with thousands and thousands of individuals in my career. Shout out, how you doing, Miss Headley? Yes, building for the future requires someone who thinks like Miss J. Say less, my girl. Yeah, say less. Say that. Say it to the people in the back. Whoop, whoop, right? Yes, and when we develop this resilience and patience, then it's crucial for overcoming business challenges. I want to shout out Tara, Miss Tara Glanville, CEO of Tara's Vegan Cuisine. She is starting off in her business now. Mind you, she makes some really great products. And today we had a session on her products, and she just kept feeling that her product was inadequate because she was getting feedback from so many different people. And I said, Miss T, what do we know about the market? She said, Miss J, I'm learning that I have to be patient and find the people who want my product the way I designed it. Yes, big learning for her, right? And she learned that patience through being a parent, because, right? She learned that patience from when her kids were trying to drive her all over the property. I want this and I want that. No, we're going to eat this. We're going to eat this today. And this is good for you. And guess what? She was patient and she got that through as a parent. She's now moving that skill into her business. Great leaders understand that meaningful progress often takes time, and resilience in setbacks is key. Sometimes we need to be challenged in order to grow. I say there's 3 key things that I'm going to train you when I work with you as a client. The first one is I'm going to teach you the demands of your passion. The second one is I'm going to teach you focus and foresight, meaning I'm going to teach you to look very deep into the future as to where you want to be. And then I'm going to teach you how to focus on getting there. And the third is I'm going to push you past your comfort zones. And that, in essence, in every moment as we're guiding our children, we are doing the same thing. And if we take those skills and we equip and use them with our business, then we are developing those exact same tools for ourselves, right? It's easy to come and tell everybody how to be resilient, how to keep your head up, how to do this, how to do that. But then when you look at your life, you're not getting them kind of same results because you are walking around lacking the skills that you need, that you've been preaching about. So remember, every moment of guiding and nurturing your children equips you to be a leader because you're now building empathy, you're building communication, motivation, and resilience. And that empowers you to lead more effectively in the business world. Now, let's talk a little bit about my DRIP strategy because drive, resilience, innovation, and progression is the word DRIP. Always is a component of what I do when I'm teaching, but more of a component of what you need to learn in order to build your BOSS. And BOSS stands for Building Operational Sustainable Systems and Skills. Okay, what you need to do to build your BOSS. So let's step into that. If you have any questions, again, put them up. If you're just coming in, I'm Miss J, your hostess with the mostest, DRIP strategist and BOSS methodologist. I'm here every week, 7 p.m. right here on Business Weekly on Love Bay Afro Beat Music Talk Radio. Make sure you hit subscribe. There's a button there. Hit subscribe, put your comments, hit the replays. We're getting into some meaty stuff here. We're getting into things that you need to know, the what and the why. Call me for the how. Okay. So I always use DRIP as a strategy across all my coaching. And I believe that drive, resilience, innovation, and progression is not just about the who, but it's understanding how you can apply it to your life, to your career, to your relationships, to your business, to your finance, to your money, to your parenting or your caregiving, and most importantly, to yourself. So the first question I want you to ask is how can the motivation and purpose you developed early in life help you stay focused on your business goals today? Now I'm going to say this, and I say it with love. Say it with love. Could we let go of the childhood trauma just a little bit? Or could we balance it out with some of the good things that happened in your childhood? 9 times out of 10, when I'm talking to somebody, or I'm sitting in a room, or I'm going to these events, and I'm sitting in the audience, and I'm listening to these stories on stage, very rare do I actually hear some great childhood memories. It's always the negative. But at some point, you had to be motivated to do something. At some point, you had to have found purpose in whatever you were doing. At some point, you had to be focused. Why can't we talk a little bit more about that? We know that tragedy attracts attention. We also know that so does the sob story. Good evening, Miss Empressing's in the building. These companies are coming through tonight. Hello, Mr. Deswa. We connect the traits that we develop to our childhood and through parenting, such as resilience, empathy, strategic thinking, and patience. They're super highly transferable. Why can't we figure out when did we have that in our life? Why can't we focus on that? If you are going to therapy, kudos. You understand that you need to walk through memories and experiences that are hindering you from being amazing. And most of the times in therapy, they tell you how to strategically get through these things. For me, I'm going to tell you, focus on the good. Tell me a time when something good happened to you, because there's a reason why you're doing this business. You're doing this business because it's bringing something good to the community. You're doing something that you love to do because why? It's going to make somebody happy. I mean, outside of maybe tobacco, I mean, they create it for your death. But I mean, I don't know where the passion and purpose is in it, but somebody saw the need to make it. But for the most part, all businesses really are looking to motivate people to happiness. Hello, Miss Carrie Wilson. How are you? Right? And so when we think about leadership and we're thinking about the team that we're going to be leading, do we not want to give them good, positive things to buy into and to build your business and to build your empire? But it's hard for many people to do that. I'm finding that it's hard. I'm watching leaders out there, being negative all the time. Like, support me because I'm a Black business. No, support me because I'm innovative. Support me because I'm creative. Support me because I'm driven to make change, not only for my family and my generational wealth, but also for my communities that I sit on, the people that I love. Like, let's change the narrative a little bit here. Let's start thinking about the things that happened well. Like, I know some of us made some money when we were kids. I know this. I don't hear those stories. I know that there's people who've had successful relationships. I don't hear those stories. And so if we continuously transfer over the wrong skills, the wrong experiences to our business, we are guaranteed failure. I'm just going to put that out there. We are guaranteed. Someone who is practiced in motivating a child, for example, through a complex negotiation. What do? Well, I used to tell my kids, very simple, don't start a fight. But if you get into one, make sure that you come out winning, right? Or do not throw the first punch. But if they touch you, make sure they don't get up. It was just very simple, right? It's complex, not really. I simplified it, you know what I'm saying? But we help our children on the playground. They see them fighting. We're going to talk to them, and sharing is caring, and we're giving all of this. But yet when we get to an age and stage where we are responsible for ourselves, we are struggling with the same thing, with the conflict. We struggle. We have all the world, the things in the world to say, and look what this person did to me, and woe is me, and the struggle. Like, just stop it. Just stop, right? We need to look how we empower ourselves to continue driving towards these pieces, which leads to what? Resilience, the R. In what ways has resilience, right, that you learn from parenting enable you to bounce back from the recent business setbacks? Today's work environment, today's business environment, emotional intelligence is paramount. We had this conversation with Carrie Wilson where we talked about emotional regulation and resilience. And leaders who appreciate and empathize with their teams create more cohesive, innovative, and motivated workplaces. And the resilience learned from parenting helps us to bounce back from setbacks and managing change, leading with a steady hand. Moms, I'm going to talk to you for a second. We are tenacious when it comes to taking and protecting our babies. We don't care who you are. You could be the baby daddy. We will come for your neck if you, in any remotely way, anybody, we say we will go to jail. We'll face that chair because ain't nobody harming our babies. If that's you, throw that in the chat. Say, I'm a mama bear in the chat. Dads are the same, I'm sure, but moms, we have, because we've carried them. We've lived with them day in and day out for months on months and months. And so we get that emotional intelligence a little bit more because we understand their needs. Leaders who appreciate and empathize with their teams, like I said it again, they create cohesive, innovative, and motivated workplaces. It's the same with our homes, right? When I see my kids play fighting or playing video games together or going out shooting hoops together or just chilling, that's it. It carries a mama bear. Love it, right? I love it because what it says to me is that I'm instilling the values that they need, the early lessons they need to provide a foundation of confidence and self-awareness to thrive under pressure. I take that back to the story I was talking about my child when he was going through it. He said, Mom, I'm going to continue pushing through because I know that's what you would do. Oh my God, can we get a tear for the love? Yes, honey, when your kids recognize your strength, it's the best thing. And that's why I so hard on my ladies. Your kids watch you every day. They're so in tune to you when you're not even thinking about it that you don't even know how much they're watching. And so you should be instilling the values of resilience in your child to give them that foundation of confidence that is not if you're going through something, what you do. It's when you go through something, this is what you need to do. I'm going to throw this out there. Answer this question for me. In what ways did you learn from parenting? Well, Nadia says, empathy comes from listening. Good leaders are good listeners. An amazing point. An amazing point. Nadia Headley, 2114, look her up, follow, share. She is amazing. She has done some amazing work. I'm glad to be in her circle. I'm glad to see what she's doing. And a lot of the people that I'm going to be introducing and endorsing over the next few months to have these real conversations with me are ones who have gone through it and are thriving under the challenges and the pressures. Because we just got to wake up. We got to stop the complaining. We got to stop the whining. I've said it so much, especially the Black business table. And we don't talk about nothing about then the struggle. Like, I'm tired of the struggle, man. I'm not struggle again. We have to be tired of the struggle at some point. Right? I mean, even Harriet Tubman decided to build a railroad, for Christ's sake. She said, listen, people, I don't know about you, but I ain't finna stay here and taking any more whipping. I'm gonna start digging. I'm gonna find some things and I'm gonna catch you on the flip side. And then she came back. She came back. She came back and she said, hey, we need to get out and relocate. We need to face the challenges. That's the strong level of resilience. We need to face these challenges and we need to navigate through some underground railroads to get to the other side of freedom. What railroads, what underground railroads have you found to navigate through to get through to freedom? We talk about these people. We talk about a lot of these figureheads. We talk about how we're inspired. Oh my God, they're so inspiring. We talk about this, right? You're quoting scriptures. You're out there, Jesus, take the wheel and, by the grace of God. But God is giving us these skill sets and we're not taking them in. We're not taking them. Is Miss J preaching today or is Miss J preaching today? Say something in the chat. If Miss J preaching today, because she is, Miss J done been woke, she is ready to bring the noise. We got to be real about what we're saying here. We can't be on these soapboxes preaching about how resilient we are. And then as soon as you have one bad sales month, your whole business crashes. I have clients who have lost jobs. I have clients who are on social assistance. And guess what? They still show up each and every day. I have clients who has physical challenges. I have clients who have children with physical challenges. But it doesn't stop them. Because the 3 C's, you got to be committed to who you are and what you do. You have to be consistent in practicing the skills that are going to take you through those challenges. And most of all, you got to be with the right people who not only think like you, but talk like you or want to learn what you know. That's what we call community. And when you're a part of my communities, there's no crying. The only tears I want to see is the tears of frustration because you are being so resilient. Sometimes you got to let it out. God gave us tear ducts for a reason. Even your girl, Miss J, as tough as she is, she has a good cry once. Okay, that I don't cry. To be honest, I don't. I vent. I call my girlfriends and I vent the hell out of the day. I call them and I say, hey, listen, Georgette gets at least 6 calls a day sometimes. G, I can't, I can't with this stupid PowerPoint. I can't with this social media. I can't with, she gets these calls. She gets these calls. But I hang up the phone and I go back to work. Why? Because I'm a firm believer in this last point, progression. I want you to read that right there. How can the creativity and problem-solving skills you practice as a parent use to foster innovation? Right? What long-term leadership goals are you working towards? How can your early life and late life experiences support your ongoing progression? Right? I want to ask you this. How can your leadership goals, are you looking at your leadership goals? I talked about journaling, didn't I? I talked about journaling. And I said to you, hey, write subjectively to review, reflect objectively. How are your leadership goals looking? Do you even have any? I put out a newsletter the other day about, how strong are your goals? Because I can listen to lip service all day and night. I'm in environments where I'm hearing, I'm a boss and straighten my crown and my crown is crooked and the crown fall off and the crown gone on and, and I weathered the storm and kudos to you. But what are the leadership goals here? Did you learn patience? Did you learn resilience? Did you learn motivation? Did you learn empathy? Like, what did you learn and how are you applying it to the day-to-day actions that are going to lead you to success? We are drawn to reality shows for some of us. I'm a reality junkie, I won't lie, but I love watching it because I like to see the behaviors. And I notice there's a shift that's happening, a progression that's happening, especially in the Black reality shows, right? So some of the shows that you're looking in, they used to just be fluff shows, always arguing, whatever the case may be, and for the most part, some are. Agreed. Nadia saying, stopping on a walk to look at ants with my toddlers taught me to pause and look at my business challenges with curiosity instead of anxiety. Shout out to the ants who are helping you win, honey. Yes, shout out to the ants and shout out to your baby girl who's giving you a moment to think about being progressive. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't even on the right slide. There he is. Sorry, there's a progression slide. Right? Shout outs, because as I just go back to these shows that, I study these shows because I always say they move with the trend of what's happening. They move with the marketing to see, what demographics are they trying to do. And there's two shows that I particularly watch that has changed the narrative because you know what? For example, Real Housewives and Basketball Wives. I'm just going to put those two out there, right? You could see now that they've moved from actually wives to being entrepreneurs, business people, getting on their grind, working, raising kids as a single parent. They were, husbands of rich millionaires, athletes or whatnot, who have been divorced and now they're going through their own and they have to level up their drip, end of day. And now they're showing more and more of that. Why? Because they're starting to realize that people are evolving. Are you evolving? Or are you still crying about milk that was spilled 20 years ago? Are you putting money into therapy to get better or to just keep readdressing the same spilled milk? Get a napkin, wipe it up, and keep it moving. Because there are things today that are going to challenge you, especially if you're trying to be successful. Those are the things that are going to challenge you. That's what you need your therapist there for. That's what you need your friends there for, to say, hey, listen, I'm trying to build a big business. I'm trying to change my generational curses into generational blessings. I want prayers up, blessings down. I'm looking for that level. And if you are, and you want to support your continued growth, then you have to stop and think about what you're pondering on a daily basis. And as parents, what do we tell our kids? They fall, get up, you're going to be all right. We tell them that. If they don't want to eat the food, what do we say? There's people who don't have the food, eat the damn food. Or I work too hard and you guys are out here spending my money and you guys don't understand. And we give them all these spiels. But then when it comes to us, oh my God, the coddling needed? We're telling our kids be tough, be resilient, be driven, be innovative, be progression. But then for us, you have to understand my trauma. Yes, I told you, I'm going to come out. I'm going to say what I need to say. And I need you to hear it in the back. I'm going to say it with my chest and you need to hear it with your ears. Why? Because it's holding us back from being power players in the business industries. It's holding us back. I'm going to say this again. It's holding us back. So the journey from the playground to the boardroom is not just metaphorical. It's rooted in real skills and qualities that cultivate through your early life experiences. Everyone here has had them. Everyone here has struggled. Everyone here has won. Everyone here has lost. When we can recognize and harness these traits, it gives us a distinct advantage. It helps us to transform our personal growth into professional success. So I want to leave you with a little exercise. As always, I'm going to leave you with something to ponder on. Okay? I want you to look at how you're multitasking. I want you to, now we talked about this in Minutes of Mastering. I'm bringing it back again this week because we have to now write down the gaps in our day, because I want you to take those gaps and I want you to fill it with something that's teaching you something. Get masterclass, go on YouTube, find a short, find something in your craft, find something you're weak in and make it strong. Because at the end of the day, we have to. If we don't do it, nobody else will. We have to start reflecting on what we've done productively. Forget all the, have you ever spoken to someone and all they have to say is negative shit? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. Negative things, right? All they have to say is negative things. You need to brain dump and you need to place the right things in those moments of negativity. Now, no one's saying that we don't want to hear about if there's a challenge or whatever the case is, but it should be that conversation. And then how am I going to progress through it? All right. I had a client, and she was really, really being challenged. And the one thing I love about her growth is she says to me, Miss J, it's been a challenging week, but I'm not stopping my business. As a coach, the best words you can hear is I'm not stopping. I'm dealing with it, and whatever I can do towards my business, I'm going to do. That's what you call productive and nourishing the things that you want to do. That's what that's called. I'm taking this moment because I really want you to soak in all I've said today. We need to understand that if we want to be power players in the industry, we have to stop crutching on the things that are destroying our drive, our resilience, our innovation, and progression. It's not that they don't happen, it's how you deal with it. Too many of us are curling into a fetal position and not getting our micro wins. And then we're not feeding ourselves with enough knowledge in order to overcome those challenges. Mr. T, you can take this slide down because we're about to wrap this up. As we conclude today's episode, I want to remind you that the leadership skills you develop, whether in childhood, through your parenting journey, or in professional life, they're powerful tools that can elevate your success. Every challenge you overcome, every lesson you've learned along the way is preparing you to lead your empire with confidence, empathy, and resilience. Remember, leadership isn't about perfection. Nobody's perfect, except your girl, Miss J. No, I'm kidding. I'm not perfect. But, that's a laugh. What Miss G said before we shut, the learning is in the journey, not the destination. Say it so you could hear it in the back, girl. Keep preaching these words and dropping these gems. Let me tell you, ladies, you are powerful. You are more powerful than fear. And I talk to a lot of my ladies. I'm not discounting the gents because they are a force of nature onto their own. But as a mom, I know what it's like to try to be everything for everyone and do everything and still find success. And that's why continual growth and self-awareness is always my number one goal each and every day. So I encourage you to reflect on your own journey, to nurture those qualities and embrace the opportunities to develop them even further. If you're looking for that support, strategies to unlock your full leadership potential, I invite you to connect with me. I don't work with everybody. I work with people that I see the will to win, right? Because I'm here to help you craft your unique leadership path. I'm here to show you what it takes to be a leader. I've been a leader all my life. All my life, I had to fight, right? So I want you to tap in. I want you to touch base. I want you to share. We got to do better. Share. Love Bay is, the producers and founders of this radio station are endlessly, tirelessly working to bring knowledge and information to our communities, hence the name Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. How many of you have actually shared the show? How many of you have actually shared the channel? But yet we talk about, oh, community, and we need support, and we need to do this, and we need to do that. Come on, talk to me nice, because I'm going to tell you, a lot of you are talking a game you're not playing. So if this episode resonated with you, I want you to share it with another parentpreneur or a leader that is navigating both worlds. I want you to follow at Love Bay Radio on Instagram. I want you to follow me at Empire by Design _ on IG. And I want you to subscribe right here to Love Bay. I want you to make Love Bay a place where you can come with all the different shows. And I want you to maybe take 1 or 2 shows and learn from them. Preferably, I'd like mine in the lineup as well. Okay? Because you got to strengthen who you are. You got to. Now, if you missed it and you're just coming in, welcome. We're going to be hitting this on replay. Yes, Mr. T is doing the work in this place. I have to shout him out. Juno Award winning. And what is he doing? He is blazing and trailing the platform because someone told him, you cannot lead in this industry. Someone took his music and put it in the garbage can, and he never stopped. Instead, he rose up and created a whole radio station. Who does that? Winners. Winners, I tell you. So until then, I'm Miss J. I want to thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, passion, and heart. I look forward to seeing your success unfold. I look forward to seeing you in the skies. And at the end of the day, the only way you're going to do that is spread your wings and let's fly. Have a good one.